Hello class. In this video I'm going to show you how to just get shadows pretty much separately from everything else using Enscape um, for uh, for rendering that you might want to stylize in Photoshop. So again, I like to separate out lines and the materials and the shadows all as separate layers. So in Photoshop, I can control them all independently and really create a wide variety of drawings. I have many other videos on various styles and you can go check that out. But part of that out is separating these drawings out. And this video is about just getting the shadows so we can manipulate those in Photoshop. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna open up your SketchUp model. I already have my preview. I just made a video about how to get lines. So that's what we see here. Your settings might be at a slightly different setting than I am, but basically I'll just review what needs to be done. You'll go to your visual settings here by opening this up. The first thing I'm going to do is turn lines back off. Your lines might already be off if you didn't just make lines, but if not, make sure they're set to 0. Your materials might be on. Mine weren't, but by default, it's set to none. That will show materials. What you want to do is make sure those are set to white. Of course, just like any other time, what you're going to want to do is make sure your sun is on. Again, your sun might be on at 100% at the default level. Mine wasn't because to make lines, I don't want it on. So approximately 100%, close enough. If it's at nighttime, you might need to put on your night sky brightness and your moon size or artificial lighting. Going to worry about daytime, so I'll just leave the rest off, and that's perfectly fine. So when I set all those settings that way, when I come to my model, you can see basically what I just have is shade and shadow set to this. And so when I export this, I'll have pretty much a white drawing with gray tones or black tones for shadows. And what I'll do is I'll open it in Photoshop, and I'll have other videos on this, but I'll open it in Photoshop, use the blending mode multiply so the white goes away and all I have is the black shadows. Then I can control the brightness of those shadows. I can control the color of the shadows. I can control effects and filters and various other things and make those shadows the way I want to, not the way that Enscape thought they should be, just to highlight the way I want. So, but to do that, you need to be able to tell Enscape, hey, give me these shadows. Now, Enscape is a great tool for this rather than just straight SketchUp, which you could also do too. You could do an output similar to this just from straight SketchUp, but the shadows in Enscape are very soft and nice, and it's much more sophisticated rendering engine, so it gives you that higher quality. Of course, what we're looking up here on screen right now is just the preview of those shadows. You would have to go and export this image just like you would go export any image for Enscape and use that as well. But that's how you get the settings set up in Enscape to do that. You might want to go after exporting, turning back on your materials, just so you might need those. And if you did that, you just go back to rendering and turn back on none, and your materials will be back on and it'll look the way it's supposed to look. And so that's how you export shadows. Now go make great drawings in Photoshop.